I'm thrilled to be joined by a very special guest today. Not only is she a fellow Formula Woman competitor, but she is also a very recently published author of the children's book, Daisy's First Race Car. Laura, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you feeling after your launch?
I still feel like I'm launching it. Every day is just another day of just sending emails going, please buy my book. Yeah, it's a slow process, but I'm really enjoying it. It's like something I've never done before, and it's not like anything I've ever had to do before. So it's been an experience, that's for sure. But I've really enjoyed it.
I was just going to ask if you had met yourself like 10 years ago and said, hey, in 10 years, you're going to be like a published author. And by the way, you'll also have illustrated the book. You probably would have thought you were insane.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I don't even know, to be honest with you. Yeah, about 10 years ago, maybe. Yeah, I would have been probably in college. So yeah, and it's funny because when I did mechanical engineering in college, I kind of let go of my artistic side because I had done so much of it when I was younger. And then I thought, I'm trying to be an engineer, and it was so much work to become an engineer. You kind of don't have the time or the headspace to do it. And when I went into industry then, I also didn't have the time or energy to do it because I was so focused on my career and getting better, because, college is one thing, going into industry is a completely different thing. And it takes years to get to the point where you're actually, the person someone calls when something goes wrong, or you're the person that can answer the questions, and you're not just going around asking senior engineers going, what do I do next? So yeah, it's funny. I kind of got the headspace this year to get back into art, and yeah, it's amazing what has come out of my brain, to be honest with you. It's still not really sure where it came from, but I knew it was special when I drew it. I just didn't know what to do with it at the time.
Yeah. Would you say that's been like the best part of the experience so far, is actually getting back to that creative side of yourself?
Yeah, like I'm still drawing all the time. It's kind of the thing that's the thing that's going to keep this going, and what's going to keep me going with it is that I actually love doing the drawings. Like, yeah, when I started with Daisy, it was like an inspirational like click of a switch. It didn't come. I was drawing Christmas cards for people, and I was drawing like landscapes and things like that. Just like, I like graphic landscapes, I like graphic design. That's kind of what I like to draw, and I was just getting back into that. And then this came to my head, or the story of Daisy came into my head, and I had to get it down on paper. And once I had her, after several iterations of very scary children, I eventually got to Daisy. And when I saw her, I just thought, I have to make her something. I have to do something with this. And that's where the whole idea of the book came from.
Totally. I think as well with creative things, oftentimes, especially when you have gone away from it for a while and you kind of come back, this has happened to me in the past, it feels like sometimes the most challenging part is actually taking the leap and putting it out there and showing it to other people and things like that. Would you say like that's been one of the more challenging parts, or have there been other bits that were kind of more tricky for you to get through?
It's funny because I remember the day I showed it to Nikki Daly from Formula Female. So I had kind of seen Nikki do a lot of presentations with like the STEM Southwest people, and like the I suppose I go to a few events for STEM and women in STEM, and she was doing a lot of talks about it. And I kind of just started to, like, I knew what she was doing. I thought it was amazing. I was like a little bit starstruck by her, I guess. And I thought, when I did the book, I said, oh, look, I'm just going to chance it. It was like a random Tuesday. I was like, I'm just going to send it to her. It's not ready. It's not perfect, but I'm just going to send it. And I didn't think she'd even read it. And 20 minutes later, I got an email back going, absolutely, I'm in, we're doing this. And I was like, whoa. And then, but it took a while. And when I showed it to the CUH charity people, and they were really behind it. And, even the printer was behind it. And everyone started to say, like, this is really good. And it took a while. It's taken a few months for me to realize that I had something special. And even now, I have to really focus on me selling it. I have to sell it myself. And I think that's been the hardest part for me, to actually sell it and sell myself. I suppose I'm selling my own work, and if you don't believe in your own work, it's hard for anybody else to. So I have to really sell it now. That's the hardest part for sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think just as Irish people as well, we're very like self-deprecating, and we're very like, oh, you know, this is just a little thing that I did. Like, sure, you know, if you want, you can buy it. We're not like the most salesy people. It doesn't come super naturally, I think. So, that definitely sounds like a tricky one.
Yeah, it's kind of an Irish thing. It's like, oh yeah, it's just this little thing I did. And I've had people go, you've written a children's book, not everyone can do that. I was like, yeah, but like everyone can draw. Like, I honestly I never thought I was any bit special at all. Like, so it's weird now when I'm selling something, I'm like, yeah, buy it, would you please?
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier that we are both part of Formula Woman. I know for me, it's been the best part. I mentioned this in a video previously, is like connecting with people like yourself, and obviously getting to go to Anglesey was actually just amazing. Like seeing all of these women that have a similar interest to me, enough to the point where we're willing to like take that leap, was awesome. I'd love to know kind of how you actually came across it, and even kind of going further back to that, like what actually even brought you into motorsport and like an interest in cars at all.
So I suppose from a young age, Formula One was always in our house. Like my dad was into bikes. I was driving from the age of like, I don't know, I was driving cars since 9. I was driving other things before that. I was always driving, like, we're from the country. That's kind of what we do for fun. We don't have anything else. So I used to drive a lot of stuff, and I was into motorsport. Was always in the family, like as in watching it, interest in it, like the TT or Formula One. And I fell in love with Formula One around the age of 14, I think. It was Brazil 2006. I know exactly the day that my heart dropped. I love this. It was Felipe Massa, and Felipe Massa was my hero when I was that age, and I loved watching him. And himself and Rob Smedley. I was such a nerd. I knew he's race engineer, and I thought they
were such a dynamic duo. They were like Batman and Robin. I remember that as well. Yeah.
I think I would have been more excited to meet Rob Smedley than anybody else. I was like, I'll probably faint. But that's how that was part of the ignition into doing mechanical engineering. It was all that kind of stuff, and I just loved it. And I loved watching Top Gear, loved all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to race, but it was just never really something that I could do. You never think of it as an option, or if it is an option, it's so much money. You need to go to college, you need to get a job, you need to do all of that first. And then, so that's kind of where I came with the motorsport side of things, and where my interest came from. The Formula Woman stuff, I was following a lot of motorsport stuff on Instagram, and this thing kind of came up, and it didn't even have any pictures on it. I don't think it just said Formula Woman, and I was like, okay. I was like, I'll follow it, see what I don't know what this is, but I'll follow it. And then it started to come out like what it was, and it was any girl over the age of 17 with the driving license. So I thought, but like it'll be all 17-year-olds, you know what I mean? I didn't think. And then one day I was like, it was really late. I think I woke up in the middle of the night. I wake up in the middle of the night sometimes to draw, or like I have like inspiration or whatever, but I was really struggling to sleep that night. And I was scrolling through Instagram, and these girls were saying they were after entering, and they were like in their 30s or like had no race experience. And I was like, well, this is serious. Like, they don't actually need it. And then I just bought it. I was like, yeah, I'm in. Why not? Because it was, it wasn't that much to go into it, as in financially. And I thought, why not? Like, it's a day out, if nothing else. Like, if I never do anything other than go over to the day and just hang out, like, and have a go. But it's been an amazing experience, and the amount I've raced over the summer has been amazing. Like, it's been more than I've ever done. And to really find that talent that I didn't know I had. Like, I knew I could drive, I knew I was good at it, I knew I drove from a young age, and I know I have no fear, but I didn't think that would translate into being able to put lap times on a track,
100%. I felt the same. I know we've both been to Mondello and done the BMW experience, and I think you do underestimate actually how much like how far passion and interest will get you, I think. Like I think when you just have like a natural feeling of comfort being in the car, like you said, you have less fear, you're willing to like push, where probably someone that was just thought like, oh, this is cool, but doesn't have like any kind of deeper level interest would be maybe a little bit more kind of tentative about it. So I'm definitely with you on that one. I'd love to know like what you're most excited about for the on-track assessment and what you're most nervous for as well, because I know it's kind of different for everyone in the fact that there's 5 different areas that we're getting tested on, so everyone has like their strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, so I suppose I'm not thinking about it too much, and that's just my way of preparing for things. The less I think about something and the more I come at it, as like if I prepare but I don't think about the actual day too much, it does make me feel more relaxed. Like I'm the type of person, like I play roller derby in Cork, and I'm the type of person that's dancing next to the track before the whistle blows. And people think this girl has absolutely no like interest, and next thing like I go into beast mode in like a split second once the whistle's blown, and I concentrate completely, because I feel like if I don't let myself relax, and this is kind of a sports psychology thing that they've said about people like Usain Bolt and things do, not saying Usain Bolt, but you know what I mean, that you see him dancing, you see him relaxing, he's very loose, and then when it comes to the race time, they just click. And I try and do that kind of keep it loose, keep it relaxed beforehand. Like I'm a little bit scared of the car, because I think that's where, but I know that it's not going to be that long, it's going to be 5 laps, and I've done it already, but I'm always a little bit nervous about getting into the car and like not being able to perform on the day. And then like there's a fitness assessment I'm working on that at the moment. Like I'm hoping that I'll be fit enough for it. I'm back playing roller derby, which will help immensely with my cardiovascular fitness. With our first training session back last week, and we do this thing called 27 and 5, which is 27 laps of the track in 5 minutes. And that's a fitness test basically. If you can do 27, you're up there as being quite fit. If you can do more, then you're higher again. It's something that you'd spend the first 2 years trying to get. It's really hard, it's very tricky to do it. It's an oval track, so you're doing a kind of a race line around it, and it's a lot of conserving your energy but getting the most out of yourself, so you don't tire out in the 5 minutes. And when I went back, I was able to get the 27, and I thought, okay, no, my fitness hasn't gone anywhere over lockdown. I can go for this. So that's given me a little bit more confidence for the fitness assessment for sure. This media karting, I've been trying to do a bit of karting beforehand as well, make sure I'm ready to get into a kart. The media stuff, I'm practicing that every day.
You're already doing it.
The book has been a great way for that. Like I've been focused on the book so much that that's my focus, and that's the thing I love, and that's the thing that I'm going to keep doing regardless. The racing, I want to keep doing it regardless, but I'm not going to put myself under a lot of pressure for Formula Woman. I think I need to focus on the book and focus on being the best person I could possibly be on the day, because I think with Formula Woman, I just want the best person to get to the end of it. Like I believe in the whole thing a lot. Like it's very much like the mission of Formula Woman or Formula Female. It's very like the mission of Daisy. It's to get women to the point where we're racing and we're out there. It's a great opportunity to get however many girls racing in the British GT Cup next year. And if I am the best one for that, excellent. I've worked hard, I can do it. But if I'm not, then I'm glad to see other women do it, you know, that kind of way.
100%.
That's the way I see the whole competition.
Yeah, I agree. And it did feel that way in Anglesey. There was no sort of there was no like edginess, there was no weird kind of, oh, I'll chat to you but I'm also competing against you. It was all very community driven. Everyone was just really getting to know each other and listening to each other's experiences kind of more than anything. And kind of on that note, you know, a lot of the girls that were there work in similar fields to yourself, whether it be mechanical engineering or like on the detailing side. You know, it's all historically very male dominated, and I think what I've seen recently, the more and more exposed I am to kind of females at the top level of not just motorsport but any sport, what I see is the the women that are up there at the top, they really take the fact that they're a woman as almost like an extra piece of armor and like an extra kind of piece of ammunition, because I think it's really easy to fall into a cycle of talking a lot about how difficult it is and how it shouldn't be this difficult. And I think I've really enjoyed seeing the way they look at it, where they're like, yeah, I agree, it shouldn't be this hard for women in motorsport. However, here's the positive change that I'm going to make as one person, and hopefully influence loads of other people to hopefully in the future make that change. And I think that, you know, whether it's with Daisy or whether it's with the Formula Woman stuff, I think that's kind of the best example I've seen of like doing that and trying to make a positive change, because I'm sure you've had, you know, experiences at work where it has been a disadvantage, or you felt like it's been a disadvantage being female rather than male, but actually it's kind of, I like to think of it more like a superpower. And I think there are ways that we can kind of, you know, make those positive changes to bring the message back around to like, okay, what are we doing to change this?
It's a tricky one, right? So I was the only girl in my class when I was in college, and a lot of people have asked me this question. It's just, you know, how difficult was it? And yeah, on the first day, I will admit, I sat down and I thought, uh-oh. Because I went to a mixed school, so I'm like, as much as I was kind of used to guys, but I was always in a group of, you know, I was always 50-50. And I sat down and I remember there was a guy in front of me in the lecture hall, and they said, welcome to mechanical engineering. And he just went, oh no. And then he got up and he put his bag in his back and he walked out, and every single one of them just looked at me. And I was like, no, I'm in the right room. I was like, no, I'm supposed to be here. You're stuck with me. But honestly, like my best friends to this day, they are the best guys that I've ever met. And even though, yeah, okay, fine, maybe on the first day or the first couple of days it's quite difficult, and there are days where you think it's a disadvantage, or there are days where, you know, like there are stories I could tell where, you know, being a girl was hurtful, and it did feel like I was being like ignored or like that it was just something that was going to be a problem. But there's also amazing days. Like I laughed every day for 4 years. Like there wasn't a day went by that I didn't laugh, and we had so much fun, and they were the best friends I could ever ask for. I can't say I didn't have fun in college, because I definitely did. And I think being an only girl in the class and having all those lads making me laugh every day and learning probably a really difficult, like one of the most difficult subjects you can do, but also having a laugh doing it, that's always going to be a positive memory for me. And going into work, yeah, 100%, there are days when you think I have to work so much harder to be heard in a room. Like your voice has to be a certain tone sometimes. If you get too excited, people kind of look at you as in you're getting too excited, or, you know, there are those little, your voice is your voice. And yeah. I definitely have lowered my voice. I think I'm more husky now, because I just husk my voice up, and I keep doing it. So I think with working in engineering, there are days when it's hard, but there are days where being female can be an advantage, and you just have to focus on what you can bring to the table, and not what, you know, Jim, Bob or Joe or whoever else is bringing to the table. Yeah, okay, they might have more experience in certain areas, but then if I was working with a load of women, that would also be the case. You have to focus on what makes you special, what makes it easier for you to get through the day, but also what makes you get through your work faster. How, like for me, it's communication. I'm very good at communication. That's the thing that made me special as an engineer, is that I was able to communicate with everyone really, really well. And I was able to be pragmatic in my thoughts and be able to get things done and get them done fast and get the right people in the room to make decisions, and not just go around writing emails. Like I barely ever wrote an email. I would always just go to someone's desk pre-COVID, and after COVID was just ringing everyone all the time. It's probably annoying, but that's how I think to get things done. That's how I did it. And it takes years to get to that point where you know what your strength is and
Yeah.
you capitalize on it. And yeah, I think maybe being a girl sometimes does help. You're less likely to, I suppose, annoy someone if you really want something. I find that if a guy goes in, they can almost be like, oh, this guy, and you go in and they go, oh, Laura, hey, you bought cake yesterday, and you're like, hey. I think it's just genuinely being a nice person sometimes can be the difference, and that's what I always try to be throughout the last 10 years. It's just a really nice person all the time, and genuinely care about the people that I work with, the people that I'm in college with, and I think that makes a huge difference in any industry.
Yeah, absolutely. It's putting in the effort to the relationships, isn't it? Like that doesn't matter what gender you associate with. Like you can do that no matter what. Definitely +1 there. Cool. Well, I might do a quick finisher, so a bit of a quick fire round for you to end off. You were recently on holiday, right, in Italy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So if you had to pick one over the other forever, pizza or pasta?
I'm going to say pizza.
Okay. Do you prefer traveling or staying at home?
Traveling, but I like to be other places. The actual physical travel sometimes can be hard.
Fair.
I love traveling. I think the last year and a half has been so hard. Like, I just want to get going. I need to see way more of the world. 100%. Definitely.
Agreed. Who is your favorite racing driver right now?
Oh, right now.
We know Felipe Massa in the past.
Yeah. I feel like I'm cheating on him by stating that. I don't really have a favorite like I did with Felipe. I'm not like a mad fan of anybody, but I think my money's on Lando Norris for a world championship.
I agree. He's getting there, isn't he? Yeah, I agree.
The fact that he's starting to make mistakes is excellent, because like they're all the things, they're the markers of a world champion. They kind of get angry and then they make mistakes, and then they do all, like, if you make all the mistakes, then you're experienced, and then you can hit it when you need to. So one McLaren are ready.
Who is your most inspiring woman in motorsport, past, present, whichever?
I think the first hero I ever had in motorsport that was female, because I didn't have any, because there wasn't any to really look up to, it's probably Susie Wolff. And still is. I think she's amazing. Like, everything she's done for females in motorsport and everything that she's done for herself, like she's amazing. If I could be one person for a day, it would be Susie Wolff, I think.
That would be amazing.
I'd love to run a Formula E team. That would be amazing.
That would be amazing. Random one to finish it off. If you could be any cartoon character from your childhood, who would it be?
I have to be them.
Yeah, for like a day.
Okay. I don't know. I'm just going to say Angelica from Road Rash, because it's the only one I can think of.
Also, similar illustration kind of vibes to Angelica as well, to be fair. I think you've got the blonde hair and everything going with Daisy, so that makes sense.
Yeah, a bossy little toddler.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, look, thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it. And I have, as we were chatting about earlier, I have my Daisy's First Race car here, and if you want to let people know where they can find it.
Yeah, so Daisy's First Race car is on sale on my website, which you can get to basically by my Instagram handle, which is at Laura Hannon Books. You can also search Formula Female. You can go into Twitter, search for me as well, or Formula Female. We're posting about it all the time at the moment. The link is always there. So that's the best way to find it. It's also on sale locally if there's any local people listening, in Kiltork and Raceway have copies, and so does Lismore Heritage Centre. So amazing. They're the main places you can get it at the moment.
And I'll put the link in the description for the video as well. But thank you so much, Laura, and it's been great to chat to you.
Excellent. Thanks very much.